everybody, this is dkdynamite, and tonight we're going to be talking about how you can quote-unquote beat the Outbreak mode within Black Ops Cold War Zombies. What that means in my eyes is, at bare minimum, completing the 5 different objectives that are available in this mode. Yesterday I saw some questionable YouTube titles like quote-unquote DLC 2 main Easter egg completion, and funny enough, there actually isn't a main Easter egg in Outbreak. However, Treyarch mentioned that in Season 3 of Black Ops Cold War, which is going to be in late April, we should be seeing a main Easter egg added to this mode, which is very exciting, but Outbreak actually isn't DLC 2 either. It's something much bigger than that. This is the open world zombies experience we've all been waiting for since Black Ops 3 Nightmares. This is exactly what that is, but so much better. And on top of that, Berlin is likely going to be the real DLC 2, but we'll be talking more about that in a separate video. Stay tuned for that. Now, there are also side objectives you can complete in between the main objectives within Outbreak, and you can use timestamps down below if you want to skip to a discussion about all the side objectives. If you already know about the main ones, feel free to do that, but consider this your ultimate guide to the brand new Outbreak experience. But before we jump into this, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, and also be sure to use code DYNAMITE if you want to save 10% on any Control Freak orders. Their link is, of course, down below in the description. So here's how Outbreak works. Every time you complete a main objective, you're allowed to either teleport to the next fireteam map or to Exfil and end your game. Each time you teleport to the next fireteam map, the round counter at the top right will increase, indicating that the new round you're on will be a bit harder, filled with more bosses, and of course, faster zombies. You'll definitely be seeing some super sprinters later on in this gameplay, but you won't see them until maybe 5 or 6 objectives in to your match of Outbreak. Don't worry about that. But right now, Outbreak is only playable on Golova, Ruka, and Alpine. You don't have to select the mode on each of the individual maps. You can play on all 3 of the maps in a single game of Outbreak. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, support for Sanatorium, the new fireteam map, should be coming maybe in Season 2 Reloaded or even in Season 3, but considering there's water in Sanatorium, you might have to wait a little bit longer before Treyarch rebalances Outbreak for a big map like that. Hopefully we see it at some point in the future, but Treyarch also mentioned that Outbreak supports can even come to non-fireteam maps in the future, whether that means combined arms multiplayer maps or zombie maps we haven't seen just yet in Black Ops Cold War. Now, you'll also never know what objectives you're going to get when you spawn into a match of Outbreak. There's 5 different ones total, but you can get almost any of them in each of the 3 fireteam maps. You can also play at your own pace, and this is very important. Whether that means a 30-minute or a 1-hour setup before you start your first objective, you can play however slow you want, whether that means spawning in, looting, pack-a-punching, crafting your armor before even starting the first objective. You can do literally whatever you want in this mode, and these maps are also fairly large. Take advantage of any of the vehicles that spawn in any of these 3 fireteam maps, whether it's a sedan, an ATV, a Jeep, a snowmobile, whatever that may be. Take advantage of that because it'll make your life a lot easier getting around to each of the objectives that you can complete in a single match. Now, also remember that you have 1 spawn for each of the following machines in a single game of Outbreak. So on each of the 3 maps that you can play on, you'll see an icon for the mystery box, the pack-a-punch, the Wonder Fizz, a crafting station, and an armor station. Now, we also have trial machines returning from D Machina and Firebase. They really aren't worth interacting with since you'll get similar rewards to what you got before. A free perk, high rarity weapon, maybe a wonder weapon. The RNG, at least for me, with the trials hasn't been great, but you guys can experiment with them all you want. Now, we also have jump pads located around the map, which come to your advantage whenever you want to get to a certain part of the map. You don't have a vehicle. You can just get high into the air and then parachute to wherever you want to go. You can even get a trial challenge asking you to stay in the air as long as possible, and that's where the jump pads do come in within Outbreak. Now, once you feel prepared, you can go in and start your first objective, which in my game was to eliminate a high-value target. That could be either a Mangler, a Panzer, a Mayak, or the new version of the Avogadro known as a Tempest. Now, it'll mark for you on the map where this boss is. Travel to that location, run over the boss if you have to, and do enough damage to him until he's about half health. Once the boss is half health, we'll move to a new location on the map. You cannot kill the boss in one go, it's just not possible. So once you find the boss again, which it'll be marked for you on the map, go ahead and finish him off, and he'll then drop loot right next to his dead body. Grab the loot, and as a reminder again, you'll have a different objective in every match that you play. It will not be the same for you as it was for my game. So once you're done with that boss, you now have the option to either continue looting on this map, doing side objectives, or you can go ahead and find a Dark Aether beacon. Dark Aether beacon will be marked for you as well. Go to that beacon, interact with it, and it'll give you the option to either warp to the next map or to exfil and end your game. At the same time, it'll spawn in all the convenient machines, Pack-a-Punch, Wonder Fizz, crafting table, armor station, all right beside you next to the Dark Aether beacon, which is great, so you don't have to walk to the other locations where these machines usually would be at. It'll all be right here in one place, allowing you to quickly upgrade your rarity, your Pack-a-Punch, your armor, whatever that may be. And in my game, I continued, so I went ahead and warped to the next map. Now, in my game, I was either going to be sent to Ruka or Alpine. it's completely random, and don't forget, you won't always spawn in within Golova at the start of your match. It is pure RNG, you never know where you're going to start, which keeps the mode fresh every single time. My second objective was to retrieve, which means you have to go to 2 locations on the map, A and B, and purge a canister, followed by picking it up and walking it slowly to a rocket. You can't run while holding the canister, and on co-op, it'll be a bit easier when you have teammates watching your back, using frenzied guards to attract the zombies to them, whatever that could be, but don't rely too much on having teammates, because if you're on solo, it's not that bad either. You'll have less spawns, but don't forget you have a safety net. That safety net is this new field upgrade ability that you get while holding the canister, and when you activate it, it sends a shockwave, sending all the zombies flying back wherever you were, which is great, pretty helpful if you get cornered, and also make sure you drop this canister whenever you need to. Don't kill yourself walking this to the rocket. Drop it if you have to, kill some zombies, pick it back up, rinse and repeat, and move a couple hundred feet to where the rocket is located. Once you've inserted both canisters into the rocket, it'll give you some Ascension vibes, and you'll see the rocket take off. I love how cinematic this mode really is. You get some real nice objectives and some real cool endings to each of them when you complete them. It's a ton of fun, but by this point in the game, you should have quite a bit of points to get double pack-a-punch weapons, all your perks. Get set up as early as you can. I cannot stress that enough. Before you get to your third or fourth objective, I'd recommend having at least 1 double-packed weapon, have an ammo mod on it, get all your perks, at least most of them. Get set up as early as possible. Don't get too deep into your game without getting a decent loadout. Even if it's not a wonder weapon, get a weapon that you trust or that you're comfortable with, and get that upgraded the best that you can. Don't forget, like I said earlier, you get quite a bit of points from completing main objectives and even side objectives. There's no excuse not to have a good loadout by this point in the game. Don't waste your points on mystery boxes either. Get a wall weapon, use your loadout weapon, use your salvage to upgrade the rarity of that weapon, whatever that has to be. Just do it as quick as you can. But now, when you're ready to warp, you'll be sent to the next fire team map where you'll get your third objective. In my game, my third objective was a Dark Aether holdout, which means it'll teleport you to a small room within that fire team map where you have to survive for nearly 4 minutes. This gets tougher with the more players that are in your game, but it's generally one of the easier objectives if you get it towards the start of your match. You know, it's all RNG, of course. And holdouts could be a bit difficult with the more players in your match, of course, with more spawns. And if you get this during some of the later objectives, then you'll get quite a few mini bosses spawned into these tight rooms. So move around the best that you can. Make sure you have your field upgrade charged up. You know, have a good weapon, like I said earlier, and you'll be just fine throughout this holdout. But once you're done with that, it'll then teleport you back to the main fire team map where you can warp to the next one. So by this point in the game, you'll be sent back to Golova. And at this point, I got the fourth objective, which was to defend. So when you have to defend, you have to pick up a severed head marked for you on the map and take it to this analyzer machine. Once you've done that, you have to defend the machine for a total of 3 minutes. Not too difficult at all, no matter when you get this objective in your match, whether it's at the beginning or deeper into your match. Not hard at all. And you'll get a lot of spawns in one doorway at once for the most part, but you can also get spawns throughout all the doorways at a time as well. So it's kind of random, but also don't forget you have a ladder right here in this room, takes to the very top where the chandelier is. And don't forget, Kino der Toten did not invent chandeliers. This isn't a Kino remake, as most people implied when this teaser first released for Golova, but you could then sit up here, get your kills, throw equipment, spread out the zombie spawns, whatever your strategy is. But once you defended the severed head for a good 3 minutes, you'll be done and you can move on to your fifth and final objective. So go to the Dark Aether Beacon, warp to the next map for your fifth and final objective. Now also keep in mind, if you have extra salvage, might as well upgrade your weapon rarity if you have a basic weapon, not a wonder weapon, and buy some kill streaks. Death Machine is also fantastic here in Outbreak, as it is in multiplayer as well. But quick reminder that you can't actually hold a ray gun and the ray K at the same time. You can, however, hold the Die Shockwave and the ray rifle at the same time, though, in a single match of Outbreak. And my fifth objective was to escort. You could have got this earlier in your game, again, RNG based, and this requires you to defend and escort a Rover, which has a monkey in it, until it reaches its destination. However, whenever this Rover reaches a Dark Aether orb, it'll get stuck for a second and then shoot really high into the sky to another part of the map. It'll do this a good 2 or 3 times, so you want to find the Rover again and keep escorting it to its next Dark Aether orb. Every time the Rover moves, though, it'll actually change the subject inside of the Rover to something else. So you start with the monkey, then you have a basket of fruits, a barrel, a power-up, something random, but rip our boy the monkey, he was gone too soon. Now, what you also have to remember is that you are sending the Rover to where the danger is, unfortunately. So inside of the Dark Aether orb that you have to escort the Rover to, there will be spawns for zombies, bosses, the works. Clear the path the best that you can, use Ring of Fire, use Frenzied Guard, Pack-a-Punch weapons, Wonder weapons, anything that you have in your arsenal to get that Rover through. And once you are done, the Rover will disappear, drop drop you some loot and kill the zombies that are all around you, and that is it. That is the 5th and final different objective here in a game of Outbreak, and at this point, you've done all 5, but you don't have to end the game right here. You can actually keep going as far as you want, whether it's 10, 20, 30 more objectives. It gets harder as you go, but the more that you do, the more crystals that you earn, whether it's raw crystals, refined crystals, or flawless crystals. In Season 2, they added 2 new crystal types, refined and flawless, allowing you to upgrade your abilities to tier 4 and tier 5. I have a separate video coming out in the next day or so talking just about the brand new crystals and how to best earn them, since it's a bit to talk about, worth its own video. I didn't want to crab it into this one, so hopefully stay tuned for that. But with main objectives, as I reminded you guys earlier, you'll get random objectives in every single map here in Outbreak. In Golova, Ruka, and Alpine. You never get the same objectives in the same maps every single game. It'll always be scattered. But if you don't want to do any of these main objectives, you can always do side objectives. And here's how they work, right? You'll never be guaranteed the ability to do any side objective in a match of Outbreak. They'll randomly spawn in at random points in the game on any one of the 3 maps. So you can spawn in and have all side objectives available to you. You can spawn in and have none of them available to you. Nothing you can do about that. It is pure RNG. And the first one we're going to cover is dealing with the radios. So they'll have these skull icons on the map, whether it's on Golova, Ruka, Alpine. Go up to them, you'll find a dead body. Weaver will tell you to get revenge for whatever happened to this dead body. It'll then spawn in a mini boss somewhere on the map. You can clearly see it right there in the sky, also marked on your map, and it'll spawn in a Panzer, a Mangler, Avogadro, whatever that is. Deal with the mini boss, finish them off, and it'll drop some loot for you right next to the body. And there's a good chance you get a free perk, high rarity weapon, a wonder weapon. If you ever have these available to you at the start of your match, just do it. It's a good chance to get set up early on in your match. But there's never a guarantee they'll be spawned in right away. So that's the problem with these side quests. They're not really side quests if they're purely based on RNG. You never know when you're going to be able to do these. But aside from the radios, we also have golden chests. So upon interacting with one of these, it'll tell you to confront the Dark Aether and prove that you are worthy. So it'll start a bit of an off-the-rails lockdown, as I call it, where you're not limited to this area, but it'll spawn plenty of enemies around this area. So you want to finish off everybody before being able to open up that chest. There's a cool animation for you as well when you're finished, but it'll spawn in some mimics. Mimics do play a pretty large role here in Outbreak. They'll actually disguise themselves as loot boxes as well, so be careful with them. And kill streaks are probably a must for doing some of these chests. I would never initiate one of these when I'm not prepared, especially if you're on objective 3 or 4. Make sure you have a pack-a-punch weapon, whether it's 2 or 3 times, and also have a wonder weapon as well at your disposal. Something good, because you're going to have a lot of enemies spawning in at this point in the game. So do what you can against these, and once you finish all the zombies off in this area, it'll open the chest up and drop you some random loot. Could be high rarity weapons, free perks, maybe a wonder weapon. Again, like I said earlier, don't do these unless you're set up. If you're early on in your match, like objective 1 or 2, maybe take a risk. But if you're deeper into your game, like objective 3, 4, or 5, don't do this without having a proper loadout. It's just not worth it. Now, the next side objective is dealing with 3,000 points you can get absolutely free from finding a Dark Aether orb. As of right now, I've only found the orb on Golova, have not been able to find it on either Ruka or Alpine. Correct me in the comments if you have been able to find it on other maps, but here on Golova, right here at the top of this barn, you'll see a Dark Aether orb. It might not be here when you first spawn in, it could be here later on in your game when you return to Golova after like objective 4. Shoot the orb enough till it moves, they'll drop you some points, you'll find it under the bridge, shoot it again, drop you some more points, and then you'll find it at a third and final location right here in this bar. Shoot it a little bit more, it'll explode, giving you the rest of the points, totaling to 3,000. And it'll also drop you some kill streaks, which is very useful if you find this at the beginning of your match, because this could be a good boost towards getting your first perk, Juggernaut, or pack-punching your first weapon right at the start of your game. So if you find this deeper into your match of Outbreak, it might not be as useful because you'll be loaded with points by then, but if you find it at the beginning, 3,000 points, why not do this? But GregFPS also uploaded a video showing you different locations for this Dark Aether orb, also on Golova. I'll have his video linked down below and some clips on screen so you can see. It's probably also on Ruka or Alpine, we just haven't been able to find it yet. I'm sure it's somewhere else to also help you out with getting some free points. But now, last but definitely not least, we have the 3 dragons located in any one of the 3 maps here in Outbreak. So unfortunately, you never know when you're going to be able to find these, but at some point in your game of Outbreak, you'll find the dragon icon on your mini-map. So when you go up to this dragon icon, you'll interact with it, dragon will come out, it'll spawn a ring of fire in front of the dragon where you have to get kills inside of that circle. So if you see purple charged zombies, whether it's armored zombies, regular zombies, mimics, manglers, kill the enemies in that circle and the dragon will then eat the enemy up. But the cool thing is that unlike Mob of the Dead and Horizon Drag, you can fill the dragon with multiple zombies at once instead of killing one by one. So great for people with OCD who were very impatient back in the day, killing one by one to fill the Hellhound, to fill the dragon. You can kill as much as you want, as fast as you want here with this dragon on Outbreak. Now, also move at your own pace, step out of the circle if you need to, there's no rush to doing this whatsoever, take it easy, but once you fed the dragon, it'll fly into the sky and drop you a loot crate right where it was. never know what you're gonna get. A perk, a wonder weapon, high rarity item. Try this out, right? If you're on objective 1 and you have this dragon available, might as well do it because you can get set up in your game very early on just by doing this. But doing one on each map doesn't actually trigger anything, unfortunately. It would have been cool if doing all 3 could unlock a guaranteed reward or something special. Maybe in Season 3 they'll end up adding something like that, but you can also do more than 3 dragons in a single game. You can get 10, 20 dragons if you guys want in a single match of Outbreak, depending on how many objectives that you do. But that is about it when it comes to all the side Easter eggs here in Outbreak. More, of course, will be added with Season 3. Now, as a bit of a bonus, and to match the continuity of tonight's thumbnail, you can actually find Kravchenko's knife located over in Ruka. So I'll mark it for you guys here on the map. And when you grab the knife, unfortunately, it can't be a melee weapon, but it does unlock some real cool intel for you hardcore zombies fans out there. Now, don't forget, there is, of course, the Exfil option, where you could just travel to a random location on the map as it tells you to, and you have to face off against a fair amount of zombies before boarding the helicopter. What's different about the Exfil and Outbreak versus the Machina and Firebase is that as you kill zombies and that counter goes down, the counter will actually go back up if you stop killing zombies. So you have to keep killing until that counter hits 0, and then you can go ahead and leave the match. But that is about it. This has been dkdynamite. Leave all your thoughts down below in the comment section. What are your thoughts on my ultimate guide for the Outbreak experience? We went through main objectives, side objectives, and of course the ending Exfil. I want to hear your thoughts on this open world zombies experience. Treyarch first, of course, down below in the comments. And I have more videos on the way, including a breakdown of the brand new crystals and even a breakdown of the Warzone Zombies Outbreak event. Really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everyone.